All right, what's up, guys, and welcome back to the Mfren podcast. So in this podcast, I'm going to be talking about the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs so far and going to tee up tonight's games. Couple series closers possibly happening tonight. Actually, no, only one, sorry. I thought there was 4 games on tonight, I guess, because when they do after the 2 games back to back in home and away, I guess they take a day off because I was looking at there's 3 games tonight. Boston and Florida aren't playing till tomorrow night, and then there's only 2 games on tomorrow, and then the Leafs have 2 days off in between too as well. So tonight we got the Islanders and the Carolina Hurricanes. So the Hurricanes are up 3-1 in the series right now as I crack open a nice Prime energy drink, blue raspberry flavor. Pretty good, actually. This video is sponsored by Prime Energy. Logan Paul, if you're watching this, please sponsor me. Love Prime. But yeah, the Islanders are down 3-1 in the series to the Hurricanes. So the Hurricanes have a chance to close it out tonight. Thinking about dropping a lock on Sebastian Aho, anytime goal scorer, or maybe Martin Necas. I'm not too sure yet. Or maybe I might take their shots or their points over because I got a $25 free bet on the score right now. So I'm trying to think about what I want to use it on tonight. The only hard part is you can't split it up in, like, I can't do like $5 bets, so I have to use it all in one. So I'm either thinking of doing maybe a shots and goal parlay or maybe possibly a goal scorers parlay. So we'll see. And then we got Dallas and Minnesota at like around 8, I think 8:30 tonight. That series is tied up 2-2. Dallas is at home tonight, so hoping they can close this one out here. Get a nice big win at home and then win it in Minnesota on Thursday night. And then Edmonton and LA. That series is tied up 2-2 right now. LA almost won it. They almost could have gone up 3-1 in the series, but took a shitty penalty, and then the Oilers scored on a power play because Zach Hyman got a goal, or got the go-ahead goal to tie the series up. So now they're playing back at Edmonton tonight. I think that game's on at 9 tonight, so at least it won't end like super late, because that's the only shitty thing about the games on the West Coast is that half the moment we start at like 10:30 at night and shit, and then the games are finishing by like 1 in the morning, and I'm not staying up that late to watch it. The first night, last Monday when the games 1 started, I stayed up till I think it was like almost 2 a.m. when I stayed up to watch the Minnesota and Dallas game when Ryan Hartman scored in overtime. I was watching that game because I really wanted Dallas to win. But it was like a shitty bounce right off the boards and it bounced right to Hartman. He like deked out Andre and shot it like top shelf over his pad. And I was like, that's game 1. I'm like, it was like 1:59 a.m. I'm like, oh my god, Jesus, I can go to bed now. But most of the series have been pretty good so far. The Islanders and Hurricanes one is kind of boring a little bit because like they're decent, but I think out of like all the other series, like, it's the one I think that is like the least physical. About the other ones, the Colorado Avalanche and Kraken one is a little bit physical. I just saw Cale Makar got suspended 1 game for an interference call on Jared McCann. He came in on a breakaway and he shot the puck and it went like out of play, and then Cale Makar was kind of skating. They were both skating towards the boards, and Makar absolutely just decks McCann. And I saw that he was like, when I was watching the game last night because I missed it, I was watching the Jets and Vegas game, and apparently they said that like McCann like left the game and didn't return, so I'm hoping he's not out for a long time because that's one of my big fantasy guys I had this year. But some of the odds are like different, like on like with the sports betting wise, because Aho is the only person on the Hurricanes who's under 200 to score. But like that's also a weird one where it's like you don't know who's gonna score because everyone else's goals is like boosted like so much, like all the top scorers on, like, you got Anders Lee, Brock Nelson, and Bo Horvat on, and even Barzell too on the Islanders. They're all like +2, like Horvat's +250, and then Anders Lee and Brock Nelson are +275, And then Matt Barzell's plus 300 because he's mostly getting assists and everything. So like that's one where it's like you don't know who's gonna score. It's even like the one random guy who's like seventh defenseman who's like plus 700 to score ends up getting it. Um, and yeah, so I'm not sure. I think I'll probably take Aho to score, and then I'll probably take Brent Burns's over shots because he's over 3.5 shots, and he's been averaging like 4 per game throughout the series so far. And I think his over 3.5 shots is plus 125 if I can remember. And then hoping Dallas can get the dub tonight too. So probably take either Rupe Hintz or Jason Robertson to score. And then on the Kings game, I might take McDavid to score. Because I mean, again, Edmonton's at home, or maybe Draisaitl because he's the leading scorer in that series so far. But even everyone on LA too, like Kempe is plus 150 or 175 to score. And then Arvidsson and Fiala are both like 210 or 200 each. And then Kopitar is like 250, I think. And then some of those other guys like Velarde and Iafallo, those like the kind of like the random goal scorers, like they're plus like 300, 350 too. So it's like it's always a hit or miss. Like you never know. I find I always end up if I do like $15 bets or like not or $15, I'll do like $5 bets or something, and I'll kind of just mix goal scorers together. But it's like if I would have picked one out of each of those and like made that parlay together, then that one always ends up hitting. But I guess end up mixing the wrong guys around. So that's the hard part about sports betting, obviously. But yeah, some guys like I swear I see people's winning bet slips on Twitter, and they just like end up betting random shit. Like I saw a guy on Twitter right now, so I just did this mock-up parlay. It was like a free kind of like $1 no pressure. Apparently, this guy bet $1 to get a total of 17 grand here for NBA tonight. So I cashed out on my futures parlay for the series winners. So I ended up just getting $29, and I could have possibly had a $330. But I was I'll take the $29. And then so it was DeAndre Hunter to get 20 points, Malcolm Brogan to get 6 rebounds, Bogdan Bogdanovic to get 4 3-pointers, Trae Young 30 points, Michael Porter Jr. 4 3-pointers, and Anthony Edwards 35 points, Durant 35 points, and Devin Booker 8 assists. So 8 legs in this parlay, same game parlay. $1 gets you 17 grand. So I kind of mixed some stuff up a little bit. I did Durant to get like 30 points, and I did Booker 6.5 assists, and then Trae Young over 27.5 points. But since my odds, like I got 29.94, so I just to make it so I have an even $20 bet, I just bet $9 and 43 cents on it. So my wagers on the score right now are possible $38,000. So again, I mean this guy that I think it was like McBets or something posted on Twitter. So this guy's always been smacking shit. Like he hit one the other night. I saw this community parlay. It was Jimmy Butler to get 2 3-pointers and Giannis Antetokounmpo to get 10 rebounds or 10 assists. And guy bet like $150 and won like $4 grand. And I'm like, geez. And then some other guy bet Jimmy Butler to get 3 3-pointers and then Miami to win the game, and he bet $1,500 to win 46 grand. Like it's just some people just they wager a lot on like one thing but end up getting a huge payout, and like I always end up losing by one leg. I'm still pissed. I know I've said this before in podcast, but it was one of my NHL ones where like I didn't expect it to hit at all, and I was off by one goal scorer. It was Jake DeBrusk. Could have turned $8 into 43 grand if only he would have scored. So I should have taken his shots instead. Probably still would have been a decent payout though, but you win some, you lose some. So that's pretty much how my betting career goes so far. But yeah, I don't have a future on. I was gonna bet, but it's kind of like no point to bet on a future Stanley Cup winner. Like I'm going for Dallas or Carolina, but like Dallas was only plus 1,200, so like $10 you throw in there is like $120. I mean, sure, still it's $120, but I mean, I did a couple futures. I did ones for like the Masters tournament. It was like a opt-in bet where it's like $15. You bet 50 or $5 on three different guys. I bet Tiger Woods, Scotty Scheffler, and I think I bet it on Xander Schaufield, but ended up Brooks Koepka. No, it wasn't Brooks. It was John Ram won. I think he was plus like four or 5,000 at the start of it. So like you drop 100 on there, that's a nice $5,000. And I did one for March Madness. I had UCLA and Duke. Those teams didn't end up going anywhere close to the Final Four. And I can't even remember. I think it was no San Diego State won it, but I don't even know what their odds was at the beginning of the tournament. That's why some of those are so hard to predict. But I'm going for mainly Dallas. LA Kings are a wild card for me. I feel like they could honestly, because like that series is like the most. I think in my personal opinion, I think that the LA Edmonton series, that one's the most like even battle. Like it's back and forth, and like none of the games have been like landslides by any means. Like all of them have been decided by overtimes, and everyone thought like the Tampa Leafs series, like that was like when Tampa won like 7-3 the first game. That I was like, oh shit, the Leafs are fucked, and then the Leafs ended up winning 7-2 the next game. So it's like, are these just all gonna be like lopsided games? Like the goalies are just gonna shit the bed every single game. But then it got a little bit closer. They had like 2 overtime games. They won last night 5-4 in overtime. They were down 4-1 in the third period with like 10.5 minutes left. And then what the other series, like Winnipeg, Vegas, I thought that was going to be a little bit more closer, but I think Vegas just has that more better playoff experience. What else? Yeah, Florida, Boston. I thought that was, and it's surprisingly, I think this is like the first year in a couple of years or so, I want to say, that there hasn't been any first round sweeps at all. Everyone thought the Islanders were going to get swept by Carolina, or Florida would probably get swept by Boston, but those look like they're going to be wrapped up in 5 games tonight. Hopefully, knock on wood to confirm that. I mean, everyone thought probably Seattle was going to get swept too, but they're holding their own against Colorado. Like the Colorado doesn't look as good as they did last year. I mean, yeah, I know they're missing Landeskog because I think he's out with like, I think it was like a shoulder, like a hip injury, or I think he like tore his ACL. I don't know, something about it, but he's been done. But pretty much like, I'm not trying to dog on Avalanche right now. I mean, I know that they had a great cup run last year when they won, but like this year they don't look as good as they did. I mean, Makar missed some time with a leg injury, but like literally their team only really is McKinnon and Rantanen, to be honest. Not sorry if Avalanche fans up there, but it's kind of the truth. Like now that you guys don't have Kadri, I mean, they got like Rodriguez, and like JT Compher's not bad. I mean, ex-Sabre player, who he traded for O'Reilly back in the day, but like that's kind of all they really have, and they're lucky that Georgiev's playing like decently solid goaltending that's keeping them in the series. And but I feel like Seattle probably could win it. If they did, I wouldn't be surprised. I feel like probably the Hawker will be like, oh my god, the defending champs got beat up by a expansion team in their second year. But like Seattle, like again, like they don't really have like that big superstar. Like their highest point scorer was Jared McCann, had 74 points. Buffalo had 5 guys over 70 points. So it's kind of like it's also like the thing where I was seeing today that Carolina, they only have one 30-plus goal scorer, and that was Sebastian Aho. And it's like Buffalo had like 5 guys who got over 30 goals, but they didn't make the playoffs because we missed out by 1 fucking point, which is still kind of annoys me till this day, because we should have been in beside like Florida or Islanders. We could have easily been in. We could have had a couple more wins. We would have been playing Carolina right now. Probably could have beaten them in this series. But yeah, but the Kraken just seem to get wins done. And what series haven't I talked about yet? I haven't really gone into the Dallas Minnesota one. Yeah, a lot of things I want to talk about was more like the officiating, because there's been some like terrible calls and shit, like a lot of like tripping calls and interference calls when they're clearly not have been called, and like a lot of people are complaining on Twitter. Like Michael Bunting on Leafs got 3 games for head contact to Eric Cernak on Tampa Bay. I mean, that was rightfully so. Like everyone was calling him like Nazem Bunting, pulling a Kadri, getting suspended. in the first game for like half the series. I mean, which is kind of true because that's what Kadri, that's what led him to get traded because he was kind of a liability for the Leafs in the playoffs because he kept always getting suspended and shit for doing stupid stuff. I mean, now he has his cup with Colorado, but because he has that going for him. But now didn't have too good of a season with Calgary this year, and I was losing my train of thought. I was just say something else and I can't remember. But yeah, I think Dallas. I think Dallas can win this. If they can win tonight, I feel like because Rupe Hintz is like, dude, he's been going on a tear so far. Like he had, it was like a 2 goal. No, he had the hat trick in game. It was a game 2 he got. He had like 2 breakaway goals. Like he's literally insane. I'd take him to score tonight. And in the other series, yeah, Florida Boston. It's been like a little bit chippy stuff here and there. Like it's pretty much Kachuk's like the only one scoring for Florida. Like Barkov hasn't really done shit all. Verhaeghe's got like 1 goal and that's it. I mean, they're lucky that their goaltending is bailing them out sort of a little bit, but Boston's just too good. I feel like they could go all the way, but at the same time, I also like don't see them going all the way because, well, if the Leafs and Boston both win, they'll play each other in that next round, and I don't know what's gonna happen in that series to be honest. Um, but yeah, I don't know who. Like, I think my ideal final. Well, obviously the two teams I said before, so Carolina and Dallas. I'd like to see that final. I think an LA Boston would be a good series, but I don't know if LA goes all the way. I don't know. It's so hard to tell. Um, I feel like everyone would want Edmonton to go to the final, but it's like again that team is literally only McDavid and Draisaitl. I mean, yeah, Kempe or Nugent Hopkins and Hyman and Kane do their part and stuff, but like it's pretty much like that's the only players they got on their team who can score most of the time. And yeah, I don't know. It's like it's too tough to tell. Like it's gonna be like which goaltender goes just on an absolute tear. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think I'll have to see once the second round matchups come out. But yeah, I don't think I've seen there's any team like significantly that like oh they're like potential Stanley Cup because I mean every team has lost a game. There's no sweeps so far. Um, yeah, I don't know. It'll be an interesting run for sure. But yeah, I definitely don't think Colorado's repeating. Because like I said, I think Kraken probably could beat them out in this series. But I mean, again, I don't know. Like it's either it's like McKinnon goes on a tear. Like playoff McKinnon is something else, honestly. But yeah, I think it's just a little bit too early to tell who's the definitive winner so far. But yeah, I don't know. It's gonna. I think it's a little bit too a little too early to tell right now. Um, but definitely, actually, well, I'm gonna check the standings right now. I'm gonna grade the off-season team or the teams who didn't make the playoffs. Um, so well, overall, so yeah, Buffalo, Nashville, and Pittsburgh, top 3 teams that didn't make the playoffs, or and Calgary too. Um, but you know what? I'm gonna grade it. I'm gonna say Buffalo's the best team. Not just because they're my favorite team and I cheer for them, but I definitely think they are the best team that didn't make the playoffs. And I'm gonna put Calgary right behind them. I think Calgary had a little bit of an off season. I know they did finish above. They finished 38, 27, and 17. Buffalo finished 42, 33, and 7. Their best record since like 2014, 15. Or sorry, 2011, 2012, I think it was, or the last time they had like a 40 game win season. And yeah, they were just in it, but like there's 2 games that just would have changed the factor, or like if they would have won some of those overtime or shootout losses, easily could have been in the playoffs. But I definitely think they're ahead of the rebuild. Obviously, they're going in the right direction. Just need to sign probably a better goaltender to back up Levi if they don't have, or unless if Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen and Levi are the 2 tandems. Um, Definitely need to sign a top 4 defenseman. This is what our decor is. Darlene Samuelson, Power, and Blank. And then you get Labushkin and Stillman. And then maybe Kale Clegg as your seventh defenseman, honestly. And get Yoki Haru and Jacob Bryson the fuck out of there. And then our top six, get Skinner, Thompson, Tuck, um, Cousins, Quinn, Paterka, Middlestat, Greenway, and because I think they're most like I keep seeing rumors. I think it's bound to happen. Olsen's probably gonna get traded. I don't know who for yet. So Greenway, Middlestat, Blank, and then I think they want to sign Oposo and Gergensen too as well. Unless if Oposo retires, I don't know yet. But that bottom line is probably Gergensen, Oposo, Jost or Krebs or 13 Ford in there. Hinestroza will probably be done. But then it also depends on if we have any of our rookies coming up, either like Matt Savoy or Yuri Kulish. So yeah, it's I think it's gonna be an interesting offseason for Buffalo for sure. Ottawa's right up there too. Again, they just need to get a better goaltender. I think DeBrinket's probably gonna walk or he's gonna get traded somewhere. Canucks, I don't know what the fuck happened with them. Blues, they're in a rebuild. Detroit has a good core. Like everyone's calling, the Yzer plan. Like Steve Yzerman can get any player. It seems like for a fucking third round pick. Actually, just got a notification from the score. Can the Leafs get it? 4 things Toronto must do in order to eliminate Lightning and end the drought. I'll check that in a second. Probably going to be like better goaltending, shoot the puck, stay out of the box, and don't take your foot off the gas. I think that's going to be those 4 talking points. Washington, they're also in a rebuild too. They finished under 500 by 2 games. Philly, yeah, they had a terrible offseason. I think Konechny's probably gonna get. I honestly want Buffalo to get Konechny. I really like him. I think he could be our perfect fit for Olofsson if he ends up getting traded. Arizona, yeah, they're still whatever. I mean, Clayton Keller and was their highest point getter this year. Montreal, yeah, they're still kind of whatever. San Jose, yeah, they're rebuild. They basically gave away Timo Meyer. The fact that they didn't trade Erik Karlsson says a lot. Like he might get traded in the offseason. I feel like he needs to go to a contender. Like the first defenseman since 92 to get 100 points, and he didn't get moved in the offseason, at the trade deadline, which is kind of beyond me, but I guess maybe either they couldn't get a deal done or they just didn't feel like it was right trading him, I guess. Blackhawks, terrible. Blue Jackets, yes, that was a garbage season for them. And the Anaheim Ducks, I feel like they deserve Bedard the most because I think honestly he'd be gross on a line with like Zegras and Mason McTavish, who he played on the World Juniors with. I mean, even if he went to the Blue Jackets, still Ken Johnson, who he played on the World Juniors with too as well. Like Ken Johnson. Actually, I don't know. I think Bedard is a center, so Ken Johnson, Gaudreau, or even Line too. Like that'd be a gross lineup, but preferably Anaheim first, Columbus. I'd probably rather see him to go to San Jose than Chicago because Chicago, obviously, they're in the rebuild, like they've mentioned. Taves is either retiring or he's gonna go somewhere else in the offseason, but yeah, he definitely um um the auto or sorry, I can't even talk right now. Definitely Chicago's probably the last or like the one who's like the slowest of the rebuild right stage right now, but let's check this Leafs thing. What's the 4 things they can get done? Win the goalie battle. Okay, so yes. So Toronto has entered a game holding a series lead 10 times. How many did they win? Not 4, not 2, 1. What else do they have? Double down on set plays. The energy is palpable in the playoffs. Every inch of ice is fiercely contested. Every shift builds or kills momentum. Every mistake is magnified. Okay, yeah, whatever. End late period nonsense. Oh yeah, I think it's because Toronto's been. I think every game so far this series, Toronto has like allowed like at least like a last minute goal. I'm pretty sure. It's borderline remarkable. Toronto finds itself in the driver's seat given how often it's been outplayed. Yeah, they were outplayed a lot in last night's game. Pessimistic, the way all of it went down mediocrity with catch up to the Leafs in Game 5 and downward spiral to early in the offseason. Another optimistic collapse will begin. Toronto's fans can once for believe in a happy ending because this series is over if the Leafs' best effort is yet to come. Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. It says apparently because Justin Hall's like a -9 or some shit. However, for that best effort to materialize, defenseman Justin Hall must either be removed from the lineup or have his minutes slashed. Which is true. I still don't fucking get why he is praised so much by fucking Dubas and freaking Sheldon Keefe. Like, the fact that he is still a Maple Leaf after these all these years, and that he hasn't been put on waivers or traded is beyond me. He's not a top fucking defenseman. And he should literally be scratched, and they should put Liljegren or what's the other guy? Gustafsson, one of the other defensemen they traded for the deadline but haven't really used yet this playoffs. I mean, I get Muzzin's out, like that's a big part of their defenseman, but Hull is easily replaceable. Hull's been a liability in this series. Yep, no shit. There's no legitimate argument against that statement, despite Hull's much talked about role in the penalty kill. I mean, yeah, he blocks shots, but that's it. The numbers don't. Timbers outscored Toronto 11-2 on Hull's 80 minutes. Let that sink in. 11-2, including a 5-0 run on special teams and a 6-2 Tampa edge at 5-on-5. Hull's main issues: breaking the puck out and covering opponents in front of the net. Yeah, because he can't cover opponents. Half the time you see when Tampa scores, he's like fucking lollygagging back there, and he's like, oh shit, I let this guy get around me. Yeah, Tampa scored 5 goals in the final 2 minutes of a period, and Hull's been on the ice for 4 of them, usually caught doing something ineffective in the process. Yeah, see what I mean? Hull doesn't deserve all the blame, yeah, for sure. It's a team. Toronto must stop late lines. Safety close-up periods. Everyone in the game is important, yet end period goals. Timothy Liljegren, another right-handed defenseman, has watched the series from the press box. While tossing Liljegren into Game 5 cold would be risky, it's probably a better alternative to the status quo. Hull's sample is no long tiny, which is true. More of the same from the factor. Just talking about O'Reilly scoring, and that's it. I mean, it's true. Yeah, Hull could, like, I'm not saying that Leafs are gonna lose on Thursday. But if they do, it's going to be a mistake from Justin Hall. Just calling it right now. I mean, again, you ask any other Leafs fan, every Leafs fan wants him out of there. If he is still, depending if the Leafs win this first round or whatever their outcome is, the playoffs, I definitely think if Justin Hall is back next year, it should be, it should be a, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, like, there's definitely better options that they can go with, clearly. But yeah, like, again, numbers don't lie, stats don't lie. And then, yeah, Dubas might have to pull some shit off in the offseason. Because, actually, I want to check cap friendly right now. Because I know the Leafs have, like, little to no cap space. I think at the come of this offseason. I know Buffalo's good. We're good because we don't sign guys. I mean, yeah, sure, the Jeff Skinner $9 million contract, but this year actually makes up for it. Yeah, Boston has like. Oh, yeah, actually, let's see who the restricted free agents are. So the RFAs at the end of the season are. What do we got? So we got. There's a lot of them, but we'll just do the main ones. Okay, so we got Alex DeBrincat, Pierre-Luc Dubois, Timo Meier, Jesper Bratt, Vince Dunn, Puljujarvi, Guryanov, Mackenzie Blackwood, Ethan Bear, Tyson Jost from Buffalo, Sarangovic, Ilya Samsonov, Travis Dermott, Troy Terry, Morgan Geeky, Nolan Patrick, Christian Fischer, Jamie Swayman, Trevor Zegras. I wonder what they're going to send him to. Alexi Lafreniere. Because I think they're talking about planning to sign him and Owen Power and Dahl into like long-term deals. Because right now, looking at it, Buffalo has $17 million in cap space, so they can take on a decent amount of cap space. But then you look at a team like the Leafs, like they have no cap space right now, and pretty much half their fucking forwards are all UFAs at the end of next year. Like they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 forwards, 3D, and then 2 goalies, or a goalie, for an RFA. So Sam Sunderland's RFA at the end of this year. Then they'll also have Eric Gustafsson, Luke Shen, and Justin Hall. So at a UFA at the end of next year. So Justin Hall should walk. Honestly, they should not resign him. Yeah, Wayne Simmons is probably done. Zach Aston Reese they might resign. Michael Bunting they'll probably sign him. He might take a hometown discount because I know he's from Scarborough. Because I know he probably would want to stay with the Leafs if he knows what's right for him. Yeah, the Nolachari, Kampf, O'Reilly are all UFAs. They'll probably maybe sign O'Reilly. I think Kampf and Achari might walk. Kerfoot's also at the end of his 3.5 hit. And then another 2 years Matthews and Nylander's contracts are up. So yeah, the Leafs might shake things up. We'll see. I don't know. So I'll check Buffalo because I don't think Buffalo, again, like I just saw Jost was there. Actually, we have 3 UFAs, 1 RFA, and then 1 RFA defenseman, which is just Cale Clegg, and then a UFA goalie, Craig Anderson. But I mean, he's retired anyway, so Caproni's got to update their shit there. But yeah, so defenseman, Cale Clegg, maybe might sign him or maybe put him at the minors deal. But then you look at our defense core, like in the next 2 years, all of them are UFAs or RFAs. You got Lyubushkin, Dahlin, Jokiharju and Bryson are probably going to get traded in the offseason. We'll probably still keep Stillman, like I said before. Hinostroza is a UFA. Probably he'll walk. Gergensen and Oposo are UFAs. I think Oposo, he's at $6 million cap hit right now, but he'll probably take not hometown discount, but he'll probably take like a discounted contract to stay with his team because obviously the team captain, unless he retires, I don't exactly know. Like Oposo is what? He's 35 right now. I mean, I know he's had like concussion issues in the past, but I think, I mean, there hasn't no word on yet if he's done or not. And then we got Jost off a waivers claim from Minnesota, and he's at $2 million cap hit, so probably sign him to like 1.5 million or maybe just re-sign him for the same amount. And then Olofsson's got 2 years still at 4.7.5 mil, but if he's getting traded in the offseason to make room for like a rookie or someone else. But like our biggest cap hit so far is Jeff Skinner with 9 million. So other than that, we got Tuck at another 4 years of 4.7 mil. So the same contract as Olofsson's. Then once that's done up, he'll probably sign a long-term deal, end his career in Buffalo. Tage's contract kicks in next year, and same with Cousins. So Cousins and Tage almost have the exact same contract. There's literally just Tage is making $42,000 more than Cousins is, but Tage's contract is, if Tage keeps it up and gets like more closer to 50 goal seasons in the coming years, like his contract is going to look amazing. And Skinner still, if he keeps up, like I think if he gets 80, like the 90 point range, his contract will look good too. And then same with Dahlin, like he's got 2 more years at 6 mil. He'll probably get like 8.5 or he'll probably, maybe if he has to take a smaller discount to like keep signing guys in. I feel like Dahlin would because he's just that type of guy. Owen Power probably signed him to like they said they want to lock him up to long term, so maybe Owen Power maybe he's like a 6 or 7 years at like 5.5 maybe. I could see him sign around something like that. But even our other defensemen like Bryson and Stillman are at like the 1.5 mil range, and then Lyubushkin is at 2.7 mil, and Jokiharju's at 2.5 mil, but again, he's probably getting traded in the offseason. And then same with like Peterka, Krebs, and Quinn are all on entry-level contracts, and Cousins is the last year of his contracts, and his 7.1 million will start next year, so he'll be making that fucking bank. And then yeah, so I'm pretty sure I think Buffalo. I'm really hoping Buffalo can compete to get top of the division next year because I feel like Tampa. I feel like they'll probably take um a slow start next year. Maybe they'll have like a couple injuries in the off season or something like that, or after the playoffs. But I definitely think Buffalo's going to be a force to be reckoned with for the coming years. Um, and again, I'll mention this. So what do we have? We're at 35 minutes. Feels like I've been talking way longer, but to wrap up this podcast, like I said, I'll go back to some of the teams about for like their futures and stuff. Like I said, how Buffalo's in the rebuild stage, but like they're at a point where like they have a chance to push for the playoffs next year. But some teams who I think are gonna be fucked for the next few years. So Pittsburgh and Washington didn't make the playoffs this year. Pittsburgh also, I mean, they fired their whole coaching staff, or not the coach. They fired their general manager and president in the off season or after the season ended because they didn't do any deadline moves. They acquired Mikael Granlund for like 6 million, makes like $6 million, and didn't do shit at all after the trade deadline. And again, like their same thing as Buffalo, they lost out on the playoffs by 1 point, so they were still in it, but like not completely. Um, and then probably once the Crosby, Malkin, and Letang era comes to an end, like Pittsburgh's fucked because they don't have any prospects down the line. I actually checked. Pittsburgh has had 2 first-round draft picks since 2012, and they used it to pick Kapanen, who they don't have anymore because they put him on waivers, and he's with St. Louis right now. And they have someone they drafted in 2020, Samuel Poulin, who was still in their minors, but like he's not going to be like their like next Crosby or whatever. So I feel like Pittsburgh's going to definitely take a step back the next few years. They're going to admit they're going to have to rebuild, obviously. Um, Ottawa's looking good. They just still gotta maintain that consistency. St. Louis and Detroit, yeah, they're still in the rebuild working stages. Washington's definitely gonna rebuild because they're old. None of their players can stay healthy at all. The Sharks definitely gonna in the rebuild era. Same with the Blackhawks and Blue Jackets. Sharks too as well. Anaheim's got a good young core, but their goaltending has just been always been shit. The fact that they still haven't traded John Gibson is beyond me because they've been talking about trading him for like a while, or that he needs a fresh start somewhere else. That he was good in like 2016-17 when they went on that cup, or they were like they think they beat Edmonton in the playoffs. It's like 2016 or 17, but they haven't really done much since then. But then other teams like I don't know. I think the Kraken are gonna be good for the next few years. Like LA's that weird dark horse team where like no one expects them to be good because like after their 2 cup runs they didn't really do much. Um, like they still have Doughty and like Kopitar from that era, but everyone else is basically retired and they traded quick to Vegas and everything. Like Dallas is a good team. The Leafs, I feel like they're still set up decently, but they don't really have any prospects because again they trade away all their first round picks for like old timer guys who don't really do anything in the playoffs. Like they traded away a first round pick for Nick Foligno like um 2 years ago, and then they traded another first round pick for someone else. I think I can't remember who that was, but yeah, Jersey and Carolina will be fine. Boston's still looking pretty good. Vegas and Edmonton still look solid. The Rangers look good too as well. I feel like Tampa or Winnipeg is gonna be one of those teams next year where they miss it on the playoffs by like a few points because they just either A don't have the talent or they just can't find consistency to win games, I find. But yeah, I definitely think Buffalo's gonna be back in the playoffs by next year. You know, at the start of next season, depending on if there's like a wager for Buffalo to make the playoffs, I'll drop $100 in it. Depending on what the if Buffalo's at plus 5,000 to make the playoffs, I'll drop 100 on it. I'll take 5 grand for them to make the playoffs. Even if they squeak in by a wild card, I'll take it honestly. I think it's gonna happen. I think their time is now. Um, but yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this NHL podcast. So yeah, still have that $25 free bet from the score. I'm not sure what I'm gonna put it on yet, but I think we'll probably do a goal scorers parlay tonight. Gonna go with my gut feeling, or just maybe the players you unexpectedly you don't think will score end up scoring tonight, but we'll see. So hoping to make some bank. But anyways, that's going to do it for the Mfren podcast. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.